Hello and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're doing something a little different. My partner and I decided that we were gonna kind of rearrange our house a little bit. And instead of having our offices be upstairs and our bedroom being downstairs, we were gonna switch it and have our office be downstairs and have our bedroom be upstairs. And so I thought it'd be really fun to kind of reorganize my bookshelf with you guys. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and this is how the bookshelf is looking currently. So I'm sure some things will kind of get shifted around and moved as we go along, but as of right now, this is kind of what we're looking at. I have a stack here, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, of books that I'm unhauling. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the ones I'm unhauling and why. So these are in no particular order, but one of the books I'll be unhauling is Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. I just wasn't the hugest fan of this series. The first book was definitely my favorite. I had already unhauled the rest of the books in this series a couple months ago, and I kind of just decided that I was okay with parting ways with this one. Another book I'm going to be unhauling is James by Percival Everett. This was one of my book club's picks for, I believe, May, and I just really wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't even finish it. I really didn't like it. I remember growing up, I didn't like The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn either. We had to read that in like my English class when I was in middle school, I think, and I remember that was the first book that I ever like used Spark Notes for, because I used to always love whatever the books were that were assigned, but I really struggled with the like slang, and that is very present in this book as well, because this is supposed to be a retelling of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but it's from the perspective of Jim, who's the enslaved man who was with Huck throughout that whole thing. And I really struggled. I even tried listening to the audiobook, and it just made me sad. So I'm going to be unhauling this one. Another one I'll be unhauling is Drowning by T.J. Newman. I picked this one up because it sounded so interesting, and I still think it sounds so interesting. This is written by a flight attendant, and basically what this is it is a flight that has a like crash landing into the ocean, and they like seal all the air pockets, and the like fuselage sinks to the bottom of the ocean floor, and it's like then supposed to be a like rescue effort to rescue all the people on board. And I thought this sounded so interesting. But I read the first like 5 pages and I just got so anxious, like crying, because I am just terrified of planes. And I just know for my mental health, this is a book I just can't do. Another book I'm going to be unhauling is Margot's Got Money Troubles. I got this as one of my Book of the Month books, and this was another one that I DNF'd. I really didn't like it. It made me sad. I really didn't like Margot's decisions that she would make. And I know that part of that is that she's this like pretty much a teenager, I believe. I think she's like 18 or 19. And she ends up having a relationship with one of her college professors, and she gets pregnant, and she chooses to keep the baby. But then the professor isn't involved at all, so she's now trying to take care of this baby herself, but she can barely take care of her own person. And so her dad gets involved, who she doesn't have a good relationship with her dad. And I really didn't like this one. I stopped reading when we got to the scene where she was on the podcast with the other people. Oh, because that's the other thing, is she then, to make money, she starts an OnlyFans. And she then was like networking with other people. And I really didn't like her choices, and so this was just not one for me. Another book I'm going to be unhauling is actually one that I liked, but I just didn't really feel the urge to keep it, and that is Only Love Can Hurt Like This by Paige Toon. I don't think I've ever seen anyone else talk about this book, but I found this at Costco a couple years ago, and I liked it. I think I gave this one like 4 stars, but I just don't ever see myself reaching for it again, so I decided that I will unhaul it. Now, a book that I didn't like that I'll be unhauling is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This was the first book I ever read by him, and I'm glad that I've read more of his books, because it seems to be with me, with Riley Sager, either I love his books or I hate his books, and I really disliked this one. I don't think it's a spoiler because I looked on Goodreads and it's in the tag, but this one has a like paranormal element to it, and I just really wasn't digging it. I was really liking the story up until that point, and then the paranormal stuff started happening, and I felt like it was just so out of left field that it kind of ruined the book for me. So I'll be unhauling this one as well. Now, 2 books that I'll be unhauling are The President is Missing and The President's Daughter by Bill Clinton and James Patterson. Ooh. There we go. These were ones that I got a long time ago. I used to be a huge James Patterson fan, and I've just kind of stopped reading and stopped enjoying his stuff. I have read this one. I remember reading it a long time ago, and I remember it being really difficult for me to get into, but then I was excited when the second one was going to come out. I think I also got this one at Costco, and I got this one pretty much as soon as it came out, and then I never read it. And I was just looking, and I was like, do I really want to ever read this? I feel like there's so many other books that I'd rather read, so I will be unhauling these. Now, another 2 books that I'll be unhauling are Haunting and Hunting Adeline. I have heard so much about this book, and I wanted to see what it was all about, because I've heard kind of a lot of controversy about it, and I was curious, but I'm not a fan of dark romance, and I really tried, and I think I made it like 10 pages before I was like, okay, this is definitely just not for me. So, and I had already bought the second book when I bought the first one. I bought them at the same time, so I will just be unhauling and donating both of these. Another book I'm going to be unhauling is When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. This was another one of my book club picks, and it was okay. It is like a magical realism where I think this is like the 50s or 60s. I forget exactly when. But for some unknown, unexplained reason, women start turning into dragons. And it is like this really hush-hush taboo thing. I feel like definitely supposed to be like an allegory of like menstruation and all of that kind of stuff. I think I gave this one 3 stars. It was okay. So I will unhaul it, and hopefully it will find a new home. Another book I'm going to be unhauling is The Stand by Stephen King. I'm just not a big fan of his stuff. I've only ever read 2 books by him. I read It, which I DNF'd it with like 100 pages left. I got to like the one scene at the end with all the kids. I feel like if you know, you know, and that just really gave me the ick. And I was like, really? Did we really need to put that in there? So I stopped reading that one at that point. But that book is like 1,000 pages. So I feel like I finished it. And then the other book that I read was Under the Dome, which is also about 1,000 pages, and that one was okay. I am keeping that copy. I had picked this one up actually around COVID time, because I was like, oh, this kind of sounds interesting. But it's a beefy book, and the type is really small, and I'm just not a big fan of like this size of book, this like mass market paperback. I'm not a big fan of this size. And there's just so many other books that I was like, I would rather just donate this and someone else will pick it up and enjoy it, hopefully. Similarly, another book I'm going to be donating by Stephen King is The Institute. Honestly, I don't even know anything about this one. I don't even remember when I got this one. But again, I'm not a super big Stephen King fan, so I'm just going to unhaul it. And finally, a series I'm going to be unhauling is the Salacious Players Club series. This is a series of books about a adult club. I don't know how much else I'm allowed to say about that on YouTube, so we're going to leave it at that. It's an adult club. These were pretty much just smut, almost no plot. I think the highest one was maybe 3 stars. They were just okay. So I'll be donating these, and hopefully someone else will pick them up and enjoy them more than I did. Alrighty, and that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have read any of the books that I am unhauling, and let me know what your opinions on them are, because who knows, maybe you guys could change my mind and I will keep it. Anyways, I post videos every single Wednesday. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos, and I will see you next week. Bye.